I'm going to pick something out of my portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm the only non-trivially large investor in both SpaceX and relativity space.
Hello. Today we will be looking at Chamath view on 2023 biggest business winner Elon Musk. Let's go and begin the video.
Relativity space has a huge... SpaceX is clearly just crushing on all cylinders. And they're really the only game in town with respect to launch capability. And if you just Google it, you'll see that the Europeans, have a hit or miss capability on launch. The Russians are completely unable to do launch now because of all of these sanctions. The private companies in New Zealand or the United States have also had fits and starts, really incapable. Relativity, which is now the second most highly valued space business, is about to do a launch in the third week of January. And the big difference between it and SpaceX, which is sort of why we did it, this is a early YC company. I did the Series A and kind of went along the whole way. They have 3D printed everything. And the reason why 3D printing is interesting is you take so if you think a rocket costs $5 billion if built by NASA, Elon was able to take that to 100 to 500 million. And if you 3D print everything, you can take that cost to like 5 to 50 million. And so it allows you to just have this repeatability and manufacturability. Now, SpaceX also has a lot of 3D printed parts, but Relativity is entirely 3D printed. It has a launch in 3 weeks at Cape Canaveral, I think. And we have a $10 billion order book that gets unlocked. So I don't know how to see beyond a lot of these market forecasts right now. So I'd rather pick a company. I'll pick something in my portfolio. If the rocket does not blow up, there's a $10 billion order book, and this company is now on a trajectory to be as valued as SpaceX.
All right,
and if it
talking his book times 2.
And
well
if it doesn't, it goes to 0.
Freeberg, go ahead and talk your book times 2 or 3. Let's see if you can one-up Chamath. Which one of your investments will be the biggest business winner of 2023? Freeberg?
I'm not an investor. My big bet is OpenAI. It's just way too obvious to be anything else this year. As you guys know, there are dozens of startups that are being started right now based on OpenAI's demonstration of DALL-E and ChatGPT. Yes. I think we're seeing this in the enterprise and consumer markets. I think OpenAI will become, to some degree, there's many paths they could take. The AWS providing tooling and infrastructure to all these startups that are building applications for consumers and business users. Or they will end up doing a massive deal with Microsoft. I think it's inevitable they're going to get $1 billion plus investment this year. They could power, AI-driven Bing search and voice-driven search. They could build their own products and their own tools, and they're becoming great investors. They invested in Descript, which is a product company we use here for our podcast, which is an incredible product. And I think that Sam Altman is a very smart and shrewd investor as well. So for a lot of reasons, I think OpenAI could end up having an amazing year this year and a lot of different paths they could walk. And we're going to come out of this year and say they're one of the top tech companies in the Valley.
Okay. Sachs, OpenAI has, of course, increased your ability to talk to other humans. So you're seeing a lot of big wins there, I know. How do I talk to a child about their college hopes and aspirations?
No. How do I talk to a child about their day? Hello.
It literally is.
Hello, progeny of mine. How are you faring today in this complicated...
ChatGPT, write me a script of talking to a 12-year-old about their hopes and dreams. Say
That's
it in
interesting,
the voice.
Using GPT for talking points on different topics. We should try that for the pod,
Oh, okay. Here we go.
We should have done the GPT predictions.
That would have been great. Have GPT make
for
its
each
answer.
of these categories.
Sachs, as a person on the spectrum, how delightful is this ChatGPT and your treatment of your condition?
It's great. Let me get to my answer here.
Okay,
so my answer for the big business winner of the year is America's natural gas industry. And I have to admit, this is an aspect of the Ukraine war that I didn't fully appreciate until I read this New York Times article the other day about how natural gas prices in Europe have now fallen to the level they're at before the war. And everyone thought that there'd be this huge shortage and they wouldn't be able to heat their homes. Well, what happened? The answer is that Europe completely cut off their dependence on Russian gas. And in fact, the Nord Stream pipelines were blown up. So physically, they separated. But then on top of it, they basically started importing liquefied natural gas from the US. And here's the key paragraph in this article from the New York Times is that Europe rapidly built terminals to receive liquefied gas, sweeping away many of the usual bureaucratic obstacles and environmental objections. So in other words, what would normally would have taken decades to get approvals now was all put on a fast track. And Europe is now completely dependent on American natural gas. And I think this is, again, the thing maybe I underestimated, the cold, hard American interest in this war is to basically turn Europe into a vassal of America's natural gas industry. Previously, they were about to be dependent on Russia, and Nord Stream was going to make that situation permanent. Somebody blew up Nord Stream. Now they're dependent on American LNG. They're going to pay higher prices for that. But it's been a pretty impressive win for the American natural gas industry. And I think Biden has really pulled a 180 here, because you remember when he first came into office, he canceled Keystone, he canceled drilling. He was very tough on the oil and gas industry. I think after he then delivered the hundreds of billions for the climate special interest and the Inflation Reduction Act, now he is taking care of the oil and gas industry.
I love it. Here we go, nat
flip
gas.
by Biden.
Yeah, and so what you're saying is Biden dynamically changed course based on inputs like a great leader would. Okay, well done.
Well, I don't listen. I don't know if
I'm
this.
joking with you. Yes.
Well, no, listen. I think Biden has done something politically smart here. There's no question about it. I am giving him credit. Does it mean that this war was worth it? No, I don't. I don't think we should be engaging in oil wars like we did in the Middle East. So I'm not justifying this war, but I am saying that there is a cold, hard American interest undergirding our position, which is it's about LNG. It's not just about moral platitudes.
Yeah, I mean,
strong start to 2023, vassal and undergirding.
My biggest predictions, I'm working backwards from two here. I think the DoorDashes, Airbnbs, Ubers, Etsy's of the world, who need entrepreneurs, they need workers, they need supply. They've always been supply constrained. As unemployment becomes, let's call it what it is, sticky, you're going to see a lot more people participating in gig platforms or entrepreneurial platforms that enable them to make money. So I think they will be huge beneficiaries, especially if they continue to lay off employees like DoorDash and Airbnb did to right-size their businesses. But my number one, is laid off tech workers. I think laid off tech workers who get together in groups of 2, 3, or 4 developers, product managers, people who actually build stuff, and start companies together are going to become extremely successful, and they're going to make incredible lemonade from these lemons of these big tech layoffs. So I think the startup space is going to, and these laid off tech workers who choose to take control of the destiny and start companies are going to be the true big winners. If you do it with 2 or 3 friends, because you're going to need developers. You're going to need those talented people in the startups that have 3 founders get funded faster than the ones with 1.
They are discussing their investments in the space industry and their belief in the potential success of companies like SpaceX and Relativity Space. They also mention their belief in the potential success of OpenAI in the upcoming year and the various paths the company could take. They also express an interest in using GPT for talking points on different topics, such as talking to a child about their hopes and dreams. So what do you think about this?